Now, I've said before, getting stuff out here can be pretty difficult. There's no yellow pages. Doing a local search on the internet, well, that's not an option either. Everything here is pretty much done by word of mouth. Now, if I've got this right, it's a friend of Mum's, cousin's uncle, who's got a friend who knows somebody else selling fish. And that's about the size of it out here. That's how it works. It's all done on the drums, if you like. But it's interesting. This will basically take us through all the little country lanes, mountains, everything else. It's absolutely stunning out here, and it's just a joy to ride the motorbike in these conditions. It's just lovely. Now, as we're off to Doi Laung, I thought I'd cover a question that I get asked quite a lot, and that is it dangerous to drive in Thailand? Now, I'm going to really cover this from the perspective of a motorcyclist, and the answer really is just yes, it is extremely dangerous, and there are a number of reasons why. Let me just start off by saying that Thailand has the second highest rate of road fatalities in the world. War-torn Libya is number one. Why is it so dangerous? Essentially, road safety in any country comes down to two aspects: law enforcement and driver education. It is extremely easy for anybody to walk into a driving licence vehicle agency here in Thailand and get a licence without any real formal training, whether it's riding a motorbike or driving a car. So it's fair to say that most Thais really don't know how to handle a vehicle, and when you watch them drive, this becomes apparently clear. There doesn't really appear to be any movement by the government to address these problems. Every year you'll get the government come out and say they're going to do this or they're going to do that, and they're going to start enforcing this and they're going to start enforcing that. But the truth of it, nothing really ever happens, and as a result, Thailand retains the title as the second most dangerous country in the world to drive in. There are literally tens of thousands of articles on the internet regarding driving in Thailand, or rather the perils of driving in Thailand. If you don't believe me, just go ahead and do a quick search for something like driving in Thailand, as simple as that, and it'll come up with lots and lots of advice on what and what not to do. The actual practical test itself is basically a circuit at the driving licence centre. It bears no resemblance to the real world or actual road conditions, and very, very few of them ever take any type of formal training. In other words, going out with a professional instructor and having lessons. It's unheard of. Which moves now on to the second point, which is law enforcement. It's really a bit of a joke. Law enforcement here is almost non-existent. The only time you ever see traffic violators being pulled over is at checkpoints, and basically what the police do, they set up checkpoints periodically, and they stop people going when they go through, and then they check as to whether they're wearing a helmet, whether they actually have a driver's license, and many of them don't bother, whether they've been drinking, whether they're high on drugs, and then dish out the appropriate fines. It's as simple as that. But once the fine's been paid, they're allowed to go on their merry way. Now, it is against the law in Thailand not to wear a helmet when you're riding a motorcycle. As a matter of fact, both rider and pillion are supposed to wear a helmet. But just follow us around. As you watch this video, keep your eyes open and spot how many people are wearing helmets. It'll be few and far between, if any at all. The very concept of wearing any type of motorcycle safety gear, such as a full-faced helmet, a jacket, boots, jeans, and indeed gloves, is alien to them. Pi and I, we obviously dress up properly. We have full-face modular helmets, we have all-star motorcycle jackets, we wear jeans, boots and gloves. But as Pi and I ride around, we get some very, very funny looks. It's almost as if they were looking at us like we were crazy. It's as simple as that. They're quite happy to roam around with no helmet, a t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops, no gloves, nothing. So safety here doesn't seem to be of any priority. Beautiful out here though, isn't it? Absolutely stunning, isn't it?
Go up there on the mountain.
Yeah.
But I not go for long time ago.
See, do you know where you're going if you go up there?
If you cannot remember, you go and can go back later, can ask the people.
Yeah, sure.
Come like this.
Well, I'd love to go into Chiang Saen and I'll right now and do something. Is that okay? But just stunning out here, isn't it? Those little twisty roads, just perfect for a motorbike. Go Major now. Different road, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I did say in an earlier video about when you live in a foreign country, you have to be pragmatic and realise that there are certain things you cannot change, and government policy being one of them. So regardless to my views on the way they drive here, and the lack of law enforcement and the lack of training is basically irrelevant. They're never going to listen to anything I've got to say, so they'll just carry on doing whatever they're going to do. On that note, what is disturbing, and one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is to make tourists aware of the dangers. It never ceases to amaze me, the number of tourists that come here without any formal training, get on a scooter and then go whizzing around without any type of safety gear. And I mean nothing, no helmet, no boots, no gloves, nothing. Just flip-flops, shorts, some of them don't even bother wearing t-shirts, and of course no helmet. It is absolute madness. Let me put this in perspective. If you're planning on coming to Thailand for a holiday with the sole intention of going home in a box, then by all means come here, rent a scooter that you have no idea how to handle, because the chances are, if you don't end up in hospital having all the grit and sand and dirt being dragged out of your wounds, which is extremely painful, then the worst case scenario is you're going to end up going home in a box. It's as simple as that. Of course, that's not your intention. Your intention is to come here, have a really nice holiday and go back home and share it with your friends and family. So my advice is, if you are going to come here, if you are going to rent a scooter or a larger bike, make sure you have some proper training. Hell, why not go and take all the lessons you need back home and then get a license? Now, going to the license, you can come here and you can rent a motorcycle with your driving license, because they don't know whether it's a provisional license or just a car license or a car license and a motorbike license. They haven't got a clue. They'll just take a copy of your passport, hand you the keys, you pay the money, and away you go. If you get stopped at a checkpoint by the police, then the only thing they're going to check for is your license. And they don't really know whether you have a motorcycle license or not. They just assume that you have a license. Of course, if you're not wearing a helmet, they'll fine you. If there's something wrong with your motorbike, they'll fine you. But the point is, you need to be safer. It's no good looking at the Thais thinking, oh, they're so stupid. And then you doing exactly the same thing. Lead by example. So that's what Pi and I do. We make sure that we wear all the right gear. And I've actually had Thais come up to me and say, what's all the gear for? And then I gently explain, well, if I come off my motorbike, the first thing that's going to hit the floor is my hands, so the gloves will keep my hands from being torn up by the asphalt. The second thing, of course, is the jacket, because my shoulders are going to hit the floor. And the jacket's got protective shoulder pads and back pads and elbow pads. The third thing, of course, is my helmet, which will protect my head. And the third thing, of course, is my jeans and my boots, which will protect my legs and my feet. And they look at me and go, okay. And then jump on a motorbike with no helmet, no type of safety gear, and drive off. But I do hope in some way that some of them think about it and then maybe go home and think, well, I really need to get a helmet. At least a helmet. At least wear a helmet. There is not a day that goes by, not a day, where there isn't something in the news about some type of road traffic accident. Buses, minibuses, taxis, and of course motorbikes. And motorbikes, because they make up the majority of the transportation here, obviously make up the majority of the road traffic accidents. The actual figures, government figures for road traffic accidents or road traffic fatalities, is a bit clouded. If you die at the scene, it's a road traffic fatality. If you die on the way to hospital or in the hospital, it's not recorded as a road traffic fatality. So the figures are skewed, to say the least. If you are going to come here for a holiday, just get on the internet, do a little bit of research, find out what it's like. And if you really want the realization to hit home, go onto Google, type in road traffic accidents Thailand, and then click on the images. You're going to see some truly horrific images. I'm talking about brains splattered all over the tarmac. And I'm not talking about just Thais. A lot of them will be foreigners. You'll see limbs missing, that type of thing. It is absolutely horrific. You're going to need a strong stomach. But if that doesn't drive the message home, then the chances are you're going to come here, get on a bike, and you won't make it back home. Another consideration is location, where you are. Places like Bangkok, Pattaya, Hua Hin and Phuket are extremely dangerous to drive. They are very congested. Drivers have very little consideration for one another. They'll all cut each other up, jump red lights, etc. Now, where I'm living in Chiang Saen, in Chiang Rai, it's a very slow pace of life. There is actually not that amount of vehicles on the road, as you can see from the vlogs that I've done. So it's much, much safer. Now I want to give a shout out to a particular company here. Before I do, here's a disclaimer. In no way am I associated with this company, and they're not paying for this. This is purely a shout out of recognition for what they do, and that company is Honda Big Wing. What Honda Big Wing did was to not only build an entire facility, they offered training, expert training for anybody who bought one of the bigger bikes, which I personally think is remarkable. Honda Big Wing's training facilities are not just open to the owners of Honda motorbikes. You can own a Kawasaki or a Yamaha, for instance, and go along and take advantage of the training facilities available. Yes, there is a cost. If you actually own a Honda Big Wing bike, then it's a reduced cost, but it's not a huge amount of money, and the training facilities there are simply excellent. So hats off to Honda Big Wing for taking the initiative to provide safety training for motorcyclists. Every little helps, and certainly without a shadow of doubt this will help keep people alive. As folks know, my wife and I own a Honda CBR 150R, which is now 8 years old. We were planning on buying a bigger bike, in fact the CB 650F Honda, but finances don't allow it for now. But once we can afford to buy a new bike, then I'll certainly take Honda Big Wing up on its training facilities. Pi and I are certainly not adverse to learning new things, and something of course that could ultimately save our lives. So again, hats off to Honda Big Wing, well done. Well folks, that's about all today. I hope the information you have is useful to you. As we would say in the biker community, ride safe. Have a great day guys. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.